Question and Answer by L.G. Alexander. Lesson 36.
It makes a change. Mr. and Mrs. Howard recently moved to a new house. The garden had been so neglected that they decided to employ a gardener. One day, when her husband was at work, Mrs. Howard asked a local gardener to come and see the garden. After the man had been over the place thoroughly, Mrs. Howard went out to speak to him. "How does it look?" she asked. "It's been terribly neglected, Mrs. Howard," the gardener said. "Those rose bushes need pruning. The lawn needs cutting and the hedges need trimming. And as you can see, the whole garden's full of weeds." "When can you begin work?" Mrs. Howard asked. "Not until next week, Mrs. Howard," the gardener said. "I'm very busy." "Can't you start on Saturday?" Mrs. Howard asked. "I'm afraid not," the gardener replied. "I never work during the weekend. I need a change after working in gardens all the week." "I'm sure you do," Mrs. Howard said. "Everyone should have a hobby." "What do you do in your spare time?" "I've got a garden of my own," the man said. "I'm only free to work in it during the weekend." Answer these questions. 1. Didn't the Howards move to a new house recently? 2. What was the matter with the garden? 3. That's why they decided to employ a gardener, isn't it? 4. Was Mr. Howard at home when the gardener arrived? 5. Did the gardener go over the place thoroughly? 6. The rose bushes need pruning, don't they? 7. Does the lawn need cutting? 8. The whole garden's full of weeds, isn't it? 9. When can the gardener begin work? 10. He can't begin till next Tuesday, can he? 11. Isn't he very busy? 12. He never works during the weekend, does he? 13. Should everyone have a hobby? 14. What does the gardener do in his spare time? 15. He's got a garden of his own, hasn't he?